You touched on it following the game Saturday night, but is the big challenge this week to put the Lake Superior weekend behind you and look forward to Michigan State?
I think that's one of the challenges for a team that hasn't had a whole lot of success over a long period of time. The other challenge is to take our game to the next level. I don't think we executed very well Saturday night. Our process wasn't great. Yeah, we got the result, and that's a good thing when we're fighting for results. There's no doubt about that. But I think there's a couple different heads. I'm not sure if one's more important than the other. I think they're right in the same ballpark, though. As much as it was important to put away the Miami weekend and respond, we need to put away the Lake Superior weekend and respond. But we need to, we need to take our game to another level. We need to get in that mindset of, it's not going to be long until the games, you won't have tomorrow. We've got to get out of that, well, I've got tomorrow mentality, and this play doesn't really matter that much. Every play has to matter, and we're one of those teams that have focused on that. And so I think there's a couple different heads to our biggest challenges this week. And like I said, I don't think one's more important than the other.
Is there a level of concern coming into this weekend? Because, usually if you're playing well and not getting results, that's one thing. But now it wasn't your greatest weekend, but you got 2 good results.
Well, it wasn't our greatest Saturday night. Friday was good. We played well Friday. I don't think concern is the right word for me. I think it's more, the words we use around here are just keeping our foot on the gas. Just don't change anything. We're not going to take it up a notch because it's a Michigan State, or this is another challenge for us, another league weekend. And you've heard me say this before, and I'm going to continue to say it. Our challenge is to practice well tomorrow. Our concern is tomorrow's practice being good, not Friday night's game or not the results this weekend. Or our concern is tomorrow's practice. Today was good. Yesterday was, it's getting to the point where we want to kind of give them Monday, where we just let them. We went out there, and we weren't out there for long, but we competed a little bit, played some small games and stuff, and we got after it today. Wednesdays have always been that, kind of jeopardy. You're not sure what you're going to get on Wednesday because it's an execution day. So that's our concern. How do we get Wednesday to be great like it was last week? So I'd say that's more of our focus right now than anything else.
Will you talk a little bit about the Michigan State weekend from earlier this year, because it's it's a 1-0 win there, and then
it was probably right in the midst of that up and down roller coaster ride in terms of our performance. Friday night there was times where we weren't very good. We found a way to defend okay, and Hamlin was really good, and then we got the 1 goal. Saturday night I thought the first period we were kind of sort of right there. We had some chances, didn't capitalize on. They were very opportunistic, especially early, and then their power play just took over, and they kicked our rear end. And as the score got out of hand fairly quickly, and I think took our will away to fight back. And that's what happens. So it was. I don't think it was either team's best weekend. Again, I think the one thing that shone the brightest was their power play was really good on Saturday. We're gonna reflect on both those games in terms of special teams. We're gonna reflect on both those games in terms of the process in those games. But I think both teams are in a different place. I'm not saying good or bad for them. I don't know. Our team, we think, is in a better place. We're feeling better about ourselves. We're playing better. I think it's going to come down to the normal things. We'll probably be intense. We'll probably be willing to compete. And how will we be able to execute at that level? And will our special teams be able to stay on top of their game and so on? So, like I said, I don't want to talk about how their team played the first part, other than their power play was great. They've got some really dangerous guys. Matt Barry is as good as there is in the league. He is a dangerous player every time he's on the ice. They've got some defensemen that are good. Their goaltending is solid. So, and that's what came back in watching that game over again, or those games over again. Just seeing some of their individual players that are pretty darn good, so we're using those 2 games as a reflection tool to see what happened. But we're kind of, again, I think they're a better team than they were then, and I think we're a better team than we were then. So we're looking at their more recent games, not necessarily the results, but their more recent games in terms of their systems and so on. So You know, it was an okay series, but that's probably the best we could say about it.
When you are reflecting with the team about those, what's the message that
Well,
you
first and
pass along?
foremost, John, we got our rear ends kicked at home,
Okay.
6-1, and that's real. I don't care what happened in our last home game. I don't care what's happened in our last 5 home games. The last time Michigan State was in our building, they handed it to us, and they were laughing at us, and that's all fine. We deserved it. We take ownership of that, and hopefully that stings a little bit. Hopefully that burns, and I would like to see a little glimmer in our eye because of that, and that's been a focus. And it was mentioned yesterday that again these games mean something. We have put ourselves in a position. So not only do we want to kind of make amends for the last time they were in this building, but there's something on the line here, and that's been pretty much the message, other than the normal process and details and all that stuff.
You have reflected a little bit on this, but it just is so striking that you start at home winless in, what, 9 games, I think it was, a couple times, and have won the last 5 in a row.
Yeah.
What?
I can't, I don't know. I told you, everybody that asked, I thought we had played better at home than our record indicated, but our record was ours. We took ownership of that. You know, we played pretty well against a good Niagara team, and that kind of started it at home. You know, I don't know. To me, our play at home, maybe with the exception of the Union series for the most part, you know, the Ferris State series to me was our home first half in a nutshell. There is no way we didn't deserve any points that weekend. No way. I don't care. I know the results for what they are, and they're ours. And all, you know, the Ohio State weekend, you lose 1-0 and you win in a shootout, but we don't get a win. You know, we played better hockey than that. So, you know, are these lessons ones that we had to learn to start to get the wins the second half? I'm going to say, because of what we're trying to do here, the answer is yes. Those were necessary losses to go through, necessary situations. It was necessary for us to go 0-9 at home in the first half of the year for us now to get the results at home we're looking for, I guess, you know, because it happened. Right. And we're playing better. We didn't harp on it. Like, how can we not have a home win? We didn't talk about that in there. We talked about we need to get results. Home, road, we're playing better than our results indicate. We need to find a way to get results. And that was our focus. So all of that talk, all of those experiences, all of those hard losses, whatever it may be, I think they've all contributed to us playing better at home and getting better results in the second half.
Will you also talk a little bit about the fans? I think you touched on it Saturday. I mean, do you feel like you're getting a home ice advantage?
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. Anybody that's been around this league, I'm not going to say as long as I have, but for a long time, okay, whether it be player, coach, or both, know how loud this place is and know how difficult this place is to play. My 10 years as an assistant coach, I was on the receiving end of some pretty decent beatings in here, no doubt about it. As a player, absolutely, some good beatings. And not only that, it was loud. You know, it's just it's a unique place. You know, it's got an atmosphere that's just different, you know, than other places. The newer, flashier buildings, I don't think have what this place can have. And we've seen bits and pieces of it. As of late, it's been consistent. You know, the student section has been outstanding. You know, I talked about it last night at Frickers on the radio. There seems to be a little bit of commotion around the other team's bench all the time, right by our student section. You know, I'm not promoting anything. I'm saying our students are into the game. Our students are involved. They're behind our program. They're behind our team. They realize how hard these kids are playing for them. And you know, to be 0-9, for example, in the first, that's completely ridiculous. This is more of a home ice advantage than that record indicates. And I think it is becoming a tough place to play.
Ready for a stupid question, maybe?
Always. I'm a stupid guy, so stupid questions are fine.
This is sort of a broad topic, but is hockey different than football or basketball when it comes to scheduling? And the reason I ask that is you got Michigan, Michigan State, Ohio State teams you're not gonna play in conference play anymore
Correct.
after this year.
Correct?
If it's football, you know, they'll schedule you, but they ain't coming into your building.
Right,
If it's basketball, maybe a little bit.
right.
Do you know what the future's gonna bring with those teams and
Yeah.
and what these rivalries are gonna be like?
Not a stupid question at all. I'm gonna stick to, at least for the short term, I'm gonna stick to the mindset that, because there's only 60 Division I teams, right? And there really isn't that big difference between the Big Ten football and the Mid-American Conference football, I guess, perceptually. If Michigan and Michigan State don't wanna come here and play, then we're not really interested in playing them there only. Ohio State has said many, many times that they wanna play us. It's important for them to play us. They'd be willing to play us 4 times a year, 2 and 2 if need be. So for now, we're gonna stick to 1-1 with Ohio State. Hopefully Miami and Western Michigan stay in that discussion as well, 1-1. So there's 6 right there. And those are 2 of the top, you know, whatever programs right now, probably 2 of the top 5 programs in the country. So, you know, it's almost as important to play those 2 as Mid-American Conference natural rivals as it is Michigan, Michigan State. Now, I don't have the Michigan State Bowling Green rivalry in me like some of the people around here do. It goes back to Coach Mason. But they're interested in playing us. We've talked like 2 for 1 and things like that, and we haven't talked to Michigan specifically, but I'm not saying long-term that's not gonna change. I really, they know how close we are. You know, it almost makes no sense not to play. And it's not like coming here is a joke. Coming here is great. I mean, the atmosphere that Michigan played in front of last year, I had their players telling me how great it was. So I'm hoping that once we get to the new leagues and the dust settles, that Michigan and Michigan State get more realistic in those conversations. But for right now, it's Ohio State, Miami, Western Michigan that I'm really pursuing, and Ohio State's been absolutely receptive. And again, I want to be clear, Michigan and Michigan State haven't not been receptive. I just haven't had the discussions with Michigan, and Michigan State's discussions have been very much on the surface, and we've kind of focused in another direction for right now.
How many dates will you have to fill non-conference?
As of right now, John, it'll stay the same. It's 28 league games, and because we go to Alaska at least once, those are those 2 exempt games. So you're looking at 4 dates,
Right.
4 weekends. It's 8 games, but it's 4 weekend dates. So with those schools being in the mix, the ones geographically that are a little bit closer, we can do the midweek stuff. You bring Miami here on a Tuesday night, you're going to get a good crowd. You bring Ohio State here any night, you're going to get a good crowd, so long as there's students around. So that's why, and we're kind of reaching into our pocket a little bit more for the league stuff now, right? We're going far for league games, so we'd like to stay closer to home for non-league games, just to kind of sort of, first of all, we have the capability of playing some pretty good programs within arm's reach. And secondly, we don't want to go crazy with budget dollars and stuff like that. We don't want this new league to throw us on our ear when it comes to that. So I think it's going to work out great. And I think Michigan and Michigan State potentially could be in the conversation more long-term.
Is Notre Dame?
We talked to them about they're now going to do a Thanksgiving tournament around that time. And I talked to their assistant coach, Andy Slaggert, who does the scheduling. He was talking about 2018 or something. I don't even know. I don't even know. I hope I'm here well beyond that. But I said, you know what? Let's just hold off on the 2018 stuff for now. So it was something like that.
Theoretically, though, without knowing for sure,
Mm-hmm.
this could be the last time Michigan State plays in this building.
Correct.
Maybe the same with Michigan,
Correct.
Already, but does that make it any more special? To the fans, to the players?
That's a good question. I don't know if I'm experienced enough at Bowling Green to give that answer, at least properly. I'm going to be an optimist and hope that it's not the last time, so it's not any more special. From our perspective, on the 2012-2013 team, it's a special because it's Michigan State, and it's always special when you're playing Big Ten teams. And I know Michigan State strikes a chord with people on our campus because it's Michigan State. It's a name place. It's a name brand. But I haven't really thought about it in those terms, and I know our players won't, just because it's a big league game and we put ourselves in a spot where it's a big game. So, you know, I don't know. And again, I'm going to be the optimist and say hopefully it's not the last time.
Ohio State starts next year, is that right?
Yes, correct. Yeah, we haven't hammered out the second date, but I think we have a date for Bowling Green. Don't hold me on that, but yeah. Very good.
You guys have been scoring a lot more goals of late. How has that changed? How has that changed the way you guys?
I think repetition and
No, I mean from
Oh,
the
sorry.
standpoint that you're not having to worry about having to overcome scoring 1 or 2 goals a game in terms of the way you play.
well, at Miami we scored 1 goal.
Right. I
last
mean,
night.
I know you've got, but over the last 9 of the last 12 or something. I mean, you've been.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not sure I understand the question.
Okay. Does it take some of the pressure
Oh,
off?
absolutely,
Yeah.
absolutely. I think you know that answer is
Yeah.
pretty obvious.
Right.
That last year in the playoffs, it took all kinds of pressure off us when, you know, guys were scoring goals and stuff, and we were getting, let's just say, 3 or 4 a game versus 1 or 2. It absolutely does. I mean, when we defended pretty well against Miami, we find a way to score 3 or 4 goals there. We win 4-2 the one night, and then the second night it's okay. You know, we don't. It's not that bad. We split instead of get swept, and we just have to do it more consistent. Is my point. You know, we went into Western Michigan and lost 2-1. We find a way to score 3 goals that game, and I know woulda, shoulda, coulda, but that's where we're at. We need to look at it in those terms. We need to find a way to consistently score more goals, and that, because of this past weekend or the second half, I think it's proven that we can, which is what we told people, that we brought some guys in here that can score. It's nice to see them starting to do that, but it definitely takes the pressure off. Everybody, in particular, Andrew, you know, and the goaltender, whoever's in the net. You know, I think there's been a mindset of the last year and a bit that I've got to, you know, I can't let in more than 1 goal, and that's just not fair. Nobody can play under those circumstances.
Speaking of Andrew, he's shown the ability to play a lot of games.
Yeah.
And play well with a lot of work. But is there any plan to give him a night or 2 off between now and the playoffs?
As we sit here today, Kevin, that's not in the discussion. We're talking about, you know, the short term. But if the playoff situation kind of solidifies itself before the end of the year, potentially, you know. But he is a workhorse for sure. He's a big, strong guy, and he's proven that he can do it. But we'll just cross that bridge. It's going. If it solidifies itself, it'll be part of the discussion for sure. But if it doesn't, then no.
And then good special teams weekend.
Yeah.
Last weekend.
Yeah.
Consistency still.
Yes, because bad special teams weekend the week before, and we didn't do anything different, with the exception of tweaking the power play personnel a little bit and maybe where they were standing. Our focus was intensity on the power play. Our focus was zone time and shots, and then results. And our focus on the penalty kill was executing. You know, we had pucks on our stick on the goals that Miami scored, for example, and didn't get them out, or didn't do what we were supposed to do with the puck. And guess what? It ended up in our net. This past weekend, it didn't do that. There's always room for improvement in that. And this weekend, again, Michigan State gave it to us in terms of the special teams play on the Saturday night. And our special teams have to be better this weekend against this team.
And then any injuries out of the weekend?
Nope. No, we're good.